We have a lot of salad greens that need eating, so this seems like a pretty good time to make some salad dressing. And why make one salad dressing when you could make a bunch? I think I'm gonna go for 6 different salad dressings today. Hi, I'm Val, and I made the recipe website Very Vegan Val. Today we're gonna make, hopefully 6, we'll see, different salad dressings that can all be made in your blender. We're gonna make them different and fun and tasty and impactful. When I was in kindergarten and lower school, we used to play a game called Broken or Not, where you hold up an object, usually like a cookie, and ask them if it's broken or not. It's the entire game. Broken or not, broken. So I think that's it. I think that's, we're gonna make salad dressings. We're gonna make a bunch of them. Maybe we'll see which one's best. Maybe we'll just be appreciative to have lots of options. I don't know, we'll see. Let's get started. First, let's make a tangy probiotic salad dressing. I'm gonna use these lacto-fermented daikon. Now this recipe is actually from my website, and in the original recipe I used sauerkraut, but today I have these lacto-fermented garlic daikons, so I'm gonna be using these. Half a cup of your sauerkraut or ferment, and about half a cup of oil. Add some pepper. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of red chili flakes. I don't know, just for something a bit different. Now we'll give it a blend. My lacto-fermented daikon were not quite as tangy as sauerkraut, so I'm just adding about half a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Our first salad dressing is done. Next salad dressing, we're gonna make a sun-dried tomato vinaigrette. So I have half a cup of sun-dried tomatoes. Mine were not packed in oil, but if yours were, you could actually use some of that oil in your dressing. 1 small shallot, just roughly chopped. Half a cup of oil. I don't have balsamic vinegar, so I'm gonna use a balsamic glaze. It's just made from balsamic vinegar, and then they add grape juice, I think, as a sweetener and cook it down. So like a more intense and sweeter balsamic. And about a tablespoon of herbes de Provence, or other herbs that you like. I'm gonna give this a blend. It's thicker than I want, so I'm gonna add some water and some salt. Well, it took an entire cup of water, but we finally have a nice textured sun-dried tomato dressing. Plus quite a lot more because of how much water we had to add. Next, let's do a cherry dressing. We're gonna start with about 3/4 of a cup of frozen cherries. Next, we'll add about a tablespoon of umeboshi paste. Umeboshi is a Japanese pickled fermented plum. It's very salty and very tangy. You're most likely to be able to find it at a Japanese grocery store. A 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. And I'm gonna start with just a couple tablespoons of oil. We're not gonna add any salt for now because the umeboshi is really salty, but we're gonna start with a little bit of pepper. Blend. Umeboshi cherry dressing is done. Next, we're gonna make a green dressing. This is a great way to get rid of excess herbs you might have. We're gonna start off with 2 cups of greenery. Now this has a bunch of cilantro, some parsley, and then a little bit of spinach. 3 scallions, roughly chopped. Half a jalapeno. And half a cup of edamame. Mine are frozen. I've never tried this before, but I'm hoping this is gonna add some creaminess to our dressing. But what I know will add some creaminess to our dressing is half a cup of vegan yogurt. Salt, pepper. Let's blend it all up. Here's where we're at. We're gonna add a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, a couple tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and a little bit more salt. And our tangy, creamy green dressing is done. Next up, we're gonna make a super creamy dressing, and starting with half a cup of cashew pieces. Next, we'll add about a 1/4 cup of fermented tofu, a 1/4 cup of vegan yogurt, and a clove of garlic. Also, I don't think I said this before, but fermented tofu is something you would also look for at an Asian grocery store. It is just tofu that's been fermented, and it's very intensely salty and funky. We're definitely gonna need some water. I'm gonna start off with a 1/4 cup. Let's blend and find out. A 1/4 cup was the perfect amount. Now I wanna add some spice to this, but I don't want it to be in the entire sauce. So I finely chopped the second half of that jalapeno pepper I had, and we're just gonna add it in. And I think a little oregano would be nice too, so I'm gonna add perhaps about half a teaspoon of that. I'm just gonna pulse that very quickly in the blender to combine. Creamy, spicy, cheesy dressing. Time for our final dressing, and this time we're starting with carrots. I'm gonna take these carrots, cover them, And we're just gonna microwave them for about 1.5 minutes to make them softer and easier to blend. There they are, just a bit softer. Let's add 1/2 tablespoon of miso paste, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1/4 cup of oil. If I had fresh ginger, I would be using it, but I don't, so I'm using dried ginger, and I'm gonna start with about 1/2 tablespoon. And that's it for now. We'll give it a blend and see where we're at. So I found myself wanting more miso flavor in this. I'm gonna add another 1/2 tablespoon, bringing us up to an entire tablespoon. Carrot salad dressing's done. The only thing that's left is to give them all a bit of a taste. I am really pleased with how pretty these look overall. Let's start with our tangy fermented daikon salad dressing. I would say the consistency on this one is about like an Italian dressing. Because my ferment had a good amount of garlic in it, that's a really great flavor that's coming across. It also has the funkiness of the ferment, and then the richness of the olive oil coats the leaves. It's literally lettuce, babe. Yeah, I know. I feel like this dressing would be perfect on a salad that's just like roasted chickpeas, romaine lettuce, maybe a little vegan parm, and then this. I would describe this one as garlicky, oily, and a bit funky. Next up, sun-dried tomato. This one definitely ended up making more dressing than most of the other ones. I would cut this recipe in half, and I'm gonna do that in the notes that I put in the video. A lot of sweetness, a lot of sun-dried tomato flavor. I think this would be really good on a salad that has a grain in it, like a quinoa. I just think that would pair really well with this particular dressing. I would describe this as sweet and sun-drenched. Up next, we have Cherry Umeboshi. That is very good. That is not subtle on the flavor. It is bright, it hits you in the face. It really is like fruity, bright deliciousness. I actually think this particular dressing would be really nice on like a pasta salad. I think it would be a really fun, different take on a pasta salad. Next up, we're on our greens. Now, this guy is pretty thick, and it also made a bit more dressing than the other ones. Oh, you could almost scoop that like a dip. Depending on your purposes, you may want to thin it out a bit with some water. That's really good. It's a great combination of tangy and creamy. You really get that herb flavor. It's giving fresh, it's giving garden, beautiful. I would love to have this on a salad that's just like finely chopped vegetables, like a bunch of really finely chopped cabbage, cucumbers, celery, tomatoes, onions, avocado, and then this sort of holding it all together. Yum. Next, another one of our thicker dressings. This is our creamy jalapeno fermented tofu dressing. I feel like this has a very ranch look and consistency. The funky, cheesy flavors from the fermented tofu makes it feel almost like a blue cheese dressing. The jalapeno, when you get it, gives you a little bit of spice, but it's actually not that much. Like if you're spice averse, you will not have a problem with this. Sorry to my mom if she's listening right now, because I think she would find this very distressing, but I think this is the perfect salad dressing for pizza. My mom definitely feels like pizza should not have salad dressing on it. But I don't know, if you've ever dipped your pizza in a dressing, especially the crusts, but sometimes the whole pizza, this would be a great pizza dressing. Creamy, cheesy, funky, a little bit of spice. Finally, our carrot. Look at that color, my goodness. So as soon as I made this dressing, I knew I had added a little bit too much vinegar. I wanted it to be very bright, very poppy, and it is. It is very bright and very poppy. However, it does cover up the carrot flavor a little bit. So I would say start with 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar instead of a 1/4 cup. That aside, the balance between the ginger and the carrot is really, really nice. I think this would be absolutely amazing on some sort of a slaw situation. Shredded beets, shredded red cabbage, maybe some turnips. I think this would be the perfect dressing for that slaw. You could even add some toasted sesame seeds on top. It'd be perfect. Gotta say, I'm pretty happy with all of these dressings. I'm gonna be enjoying salads probably for weeks now. The best way to store these is gonna be with a lid in the fridge, and just know that homemade salad dressings are much more likely to separate than store-bought ones because they don't have any emulsifiers in them, which you could add if you wanted to, but I know most people don't have emulsifiers laying around their house. So the easier thing to do is when you're ready to eat them, just give them a good shake before pouring them on your salads. Just another little note, I know a lot of people who eat vegan, whole food, plant-based diets don't do oil. That's fine, that's great, but salads are actually an interesting case where added fat allows you to absorb more of the nutrients from your greens. So if you're not doing a salad dressing, you might want to consider adding some nuts or some avocado or some other form of fat so you can really get the most out of your salad. So let me know which dressing sounds the best to you, or what is your favorite blender salad dressing to make? I would love to hear. Until next time, like this video and subscribe. Oh, and by the way, if you find yourself thinking that your life sucks because of immigrants taking jobs, or people using food stamps, or people from minority groups being given a hand, I want you to consider this. There are people out there who have billions of dollars, who have huge amounts of influence over political narratives. And every day they get richer and richer while you are distracted fighting with your neighbors for crumbs. Something to think about.